welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at doing a very colourful landscape in Derwent Inktense. So the only part of this video that I've actually speeded up is the very beginning where I'm wetting the paper. So I'm using quite a lot of the water, so I'm starting off with a very wet paper. And I'm going to be painting a lot wet in wet. Now I've absolutely no plan for this painting before I started. The idea was just to play with the materials, see what they can do, have a bit of fun, and not, like I say, not have a plan, see what works and what doesn't work. So a very, very wet paper, but I'm also adding some water on the palette to the colours as well. So, and I'm sticking to very bright colours, so quite bright colours for a landscape, but it was sort of a sunsetty type, evening-y look that I was going for. So I'm using the Derwent Inktense blocks, and it's the set of 24 that I'm using. So as I've perhaps said in previous videos, they don't actually have named colours, they have numbers on them. So it's important when you buy them to write the numbers down, and then if you get some favourite colours or a colour that you're going to run out of, you can reorder the individual colours. So you'll see that to begin with, I mix them on the colours on the paper, making a sky and a background. Now, the great thing I thought about these, and one of the advantages, was that the colours stay sort of, although you can mix them in, you'll see that I'm mixing them quite a lot on the sky there, mixing the colours on the paper. You'll see that when I add the yellow, it doesn't mix with the blue to make a green on the paper. It stays nice and yellow, so you can get a lovely sunset feeling, and you don't have to worry about that colour mixing in. It stays nice and fresh, and when you look later on when I'm adding the extra colours over the top, that yellow still shines through. So that's one really nice thing that I liked about them when I was playing with them like this. So one or two things didn't work. Like I say, I'm just having a play, seeing what works and what doesn't work. You'll see later on when I do the tree, I put some white on, and that really didn't do anything to it, so I just forgot about that. What else didn't work? There was something else I was going to tell you. Yeah, I didn't like the clouds that I put in the sky. They didn't really work. I sort of put a little bit of purpley in colour in to get some clouds, and they should have been a different colour, or maybe I shouldn't have bothered with them altogether, I think. So the thing about the Inktense is once they're dry, that they're permanent, and then you can layer them on top of each other. And like I said with the yellow one, you'll see the colours still shining through, so it still looks as if we've got that sunset coming through the tree at the end. And we've got the white of the paper shining through as well, so that's another good reason for using plenty of water, for having a wet paper to begin with and then adding some more water to the Inktense. Means you've got that white of the paper shining through as you would in your watercolours. The thing I like about them compared to the watercolours with the working wet in wet was, like I said, about the colours not going muddy, staying sort of separate on the paper. Even where you see where you layer over the yellows and the blues, they still don't sort of go together to make that green. They keep fresh and vibrant. So that was one great thing about them. Now, the other thing that is a bit of a disadvantage, well, not a disadvantage, but one thing, I get carried away and I can overwork things, because really this is just about having fun and seeing what things can do. So I tend to get carried away with the actual process of putting the colour on the paper and go a bit too far, as I have done in this one maybe. And I end up picking them up with my fingers because I want to get that lovely vibrant colour in, and then you get really, really messed up hands, and it doesn't necessarily come out from under your nails for a little while. They're quite dyeing effect on your hands. And also the actual sticks themselves then get quite messy, so you need to clean them before you use them again. But one thing I really do like about picking them up is the lines that you can get and the shapes you can get. So you'll see when I'm doing the branches of the tree later on, I'll sort of rotate and twist the stick in my hand, and that gives you some nice shapes of the tree branches and things, so you get a good variety of line. It's always good, whatever painting you're doing, to have some variety and some contrasts in your shapes and lines and things. So by doing some with your brush, and then later on when that's dry, going on top of it with drawing with the sticks themselves, you're getting that contrast and variety in that's going to make your painting interesting. Okay, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to tell you. So like I say, it was the Derwent Inktense blocks, and it was the set of 24. I will put the link down below to that. It's an Amazon link, and I have to tell you that I do get a small fee for that when you do buy through my Amazon links that I put in my videos. I put them in most videos just so that you can see which products I've used in the videos themselves. Okay, you can get a 12 set and a 36 as well. So, and the brush I'm using, I'll just better tell you about that one. So it's a dagger shaped brush, well they call it an angle shader actually, and it's a graduate one and it's a 1/2 inch, so that's a Daler Rowney one. So it's a synthetic one, but a nice one nevertheless. So I quite like working with flat shaped brushes and working quite quickly. So the whole thing, like I say, it's real time. I've not sped it up at all. Even when I'm mixing my colours, I've left that all in. Quite often I edit that out, but I've left it in when mixing my colours. Most colours I just used as they were. The only one I did mix together, I mixed the green and the purple together to get like a grey colour for in the foreground. Because with it being a dusky type of night, although the greens were there, we didn't want them to be too brilliant green. But the green that comes in the Inktense is actually very nice and much more natural than some greens that you can buy. Okay, so I'm not sure what else I can tell you about the Inktense at the moment really. Like I say, the layering effect that you get with them is really good if you let them dry in between the layers, which is a good thing compared to the watercolour for this type of thing. You don't have to worry really too much about leaving where your tree's going to go, because you know I wanted the tree to be quite dominant. I have perhaps overworked it a little bit, but I did want to bring it into the foreground and to have it quite dominant because it's in full leaf in midsummer and it's a large tree. So I did, you know, although I did overwork it a bit, I think it has sort of worked to a degree. I like the way the path worked as well, so one or two things I like better than the others. And I did bring a lot of the colour from the sky into the foreground later on as well, just to make the whole painting come together, but also to bring that foreground forward by having the bright colours in the foreground there. Okay, so any questions, if you want to pop them in the comments below as usual. And if you've got the Inktense, then have some fun with them. It's the paper that I'm using, I should have said, is just a practice paper, one that I get from the SAA, which is the Society for All Artists. So it's just, I think it's probably about £140 and probably a not pressed paper there. So it's just a practice paper, but it's actually a very good practice paper. So that's from the Society of All Artists. Okay, so thanks for watching and hopefully look forward to seeing you again soon. And bye for now.